Extracts from the diary of Gordon Halswell, 1874 to 1935. Re Halswell House, Goathurst. To Somerset and Halswell House, Goathurst. The quest to prove the family connection. Greenwood and I made our minds to go somewhere for Easter, but the arguments as to where were interminable. So we settled to go to the station and take a ticket for somewhere. March 23rd, 1894. We arrived at the station and decided to go to the Quantocks and, incidentally, to see Halswell on the way. The place belongs to the Kemys Tints, and it came to them through Jane Halswell, who was heiress of the property. The Halswells were there without a break from 1272 to 1650, when the aforesaid Jane, who was the only child of Hugh Halswell, married Colonel Tint of Cheveley, whose direct descendants, the Kemys Tints, are still in possession. My father told me that our people came from a younger branch of these Halswells, but when he died, I was too young to take any interest in the matter, and so asked him no questions. I know that several Halswell brothers fought for Monmouth at Sedgemoor in 1685, and Robert and Edward were captured and executed by Judge Jeffreys, and they appear in the official rolls of the executions. The unfortunate part of the matter is that the quarrel between my grandfather and his brother, Edmund Halswell, makes it impossible for me to ask the Halswells, who live in Kensington Gate, for information, and they possess all papers connected with the family. My father told me that he had been down to Somerset to see the place. Someday I must work it all out myself. We went to Bridgewater and drove out about 5 miles to Goathurst and asked at a picturesque thatched lodge whether the Kemys Tints were at home. They were unfortunately away. Charlie Kemys Tints, Halswell Kemys Tints' eldest son, was at Arthur James at Eton with me. The bailiff showed us round. The park is beautifully timbered, and to the left of the drive were 2 pieces of water. We turned off to the right through Millwood, through which flowed a stream which ran into several lakes connected by waterfalls. Out of this wood we came to an avenue leading to the entrance to the house, over the door of which were the Kemys Tints' arms quartered with Halswell. The greater part of the house was built by Sir Halswell Tint in the reign of Charles II, but the remainder is part of the old manor house which dates from about 1400. There is a fine hall, the ceiling of which is about 20 feet high, and the walls are completely surrounded by portraits, commencing with the picture of Sir Nicholas Halswell in Elizabeth's time, followed by his descendants and then Kemys Tints. There is a fine staircase with many more pictures, one by Romney of Halswell Tint's great-grandfather, another portrait of Jane Halswell, and a most interesting one of Sir Nicholas Halswell's children in James I costume, and each child with a toy or something suitable to its age. The eldest son with a bow. In a glass case outside the great drawing room are the Halswells' christening robes that were used in Elizabeth's time. The drawing room and dining room contain some very fine Van Dyck portraits of the Whartons, to which peerage the Tints are co-heirs. Some of the old buildings outside were interesting, and the park was beautiful. It once formed part of Petherton Forest, of which Chaucer was the ranger. There was a herd of about 300 deer, which were almost too exciting for my wolfhound, Morris, who was with us. Finally, we saw the old kennels where they used to keep the hounds, and then we left the park to see Goathurst Church, which is just outside the gates. Church goings for the Kemys Tint family was a comfortable experience. The pew was a horse box, oak panelled with honourable bearings on each panel. Moreover, there were comfortable chairs and a good fireplace, and none of the congregation could see into it. To the left was a little chapel, in which was the entrance to the Halswell vault, which stretched under the entire length of the church, and which is now full. In the chapel is a fine tomb to Sir Nicholas Halswell and his wife, with their recumbent effigies, and over the tomb hang his funeral helmet and gauntlets, and around the tomb kneel his 7 children. The ceiling and the walls are hung with hatchments. The property is about 8,000 acres, but the Kemys Tints also own Cefn Mabley, an estate of about 33,000 acres, which has been in the Kemys family for 600 years. After this, Greenwood and myself, William the Bulldog and Morris the Wolfhound, drove over the Quantocks, which were beautiful.